on Saturday?
I think Sky Heights should be 2-1 favourite.
Really. 2 to 1?
Yeah.
The only horse in 25 years to start under 3 to 1 is Vienna Cross, and you're saying he should be 2 to 1. You never have 2 to 1 pops in a Melbourne Cup.
What about
That's why it's a good race to bet in.
He was 7 to 2.
He wouldn't know that,
Yeah.
Bruce. He wouldn't know that, mate. It'd be too late in the day for him. He'd had too many VBs.
Lee, your tips?
Well, I'm a great believer. Seeing is believing. The McKinnon's always been a great guide. That horse, Rogan Josh, I'm still getting to say
He's going to give him a bit of curry, isn't he? He's going to give him a bit of curry.
Look, he drops 8 kilos.
You and I just about agree. Look, we're good judges. Yeah, what about Max and Keith? They're not so good.
OK, for me it's Sky Heights and it's Rogan. I'm sorry, Lavelle. Sky Heights, Lavelle, Rogan. You go, Max.
Do you know, after all the rubbish we've got on with today, we've basically picked the same horse.
It's a standard.
Yeah.
Sky, where's he going to be in the run? You've got a great jockey, you've got the form. Sky Heights has got everything. As Keith points out, Sky Heights has got the price 7 to 2. He should be shorter than that.
And one other thing too, Max.
Rogan Josh. Well, there you are. He's got Bart Cummings, but a wide gate. Will he settle as well in the Melbourne Cup as he settled yesterday in a very fast McKinnon? And Travel Mate, well, if G. Hall was on Travel Mate, I would be on Travel.
He's looking... Greg, I'm getting this. Dubai, quickly.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest challenge, and I'm looking forward to it, but I think it's a place that's really going ahead, mate, in leaps and bounds. I can assure you, 20 million the last day. I mean, it is a place to be. Money's not my god, mate.
No. Your biggest challenge is streak. If it wins, Lee Freedman will be streaking up Swanston Street. That's what he said off air. Good luck.
Oh, lovely.
What a sight to behold. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more right after.
You're joining me.
Well, when I seen him walk past me and I seen he was so tall and so strong, I thought, who is this kid? Find out what his name is.
Today is the 1931 Cox Plate, won by the one and only Phar Lap. It is the only gold trophy that's still in existence. For all the trophies that Phar Lap won over the years, he won a couple of Cox Plates and won a Melbourne Cup. He won great races all over the world. Harry Telford, who was his trainer, used to melt down the Gold Cups because of the Depression. He needed the money. And this trophy comes from the grandchildren of David Davis, who was the owner of Phar Lap. This Cox Plate will be auctioned in Melbourne through Sotheby's next Monday. And believe it or not, it's worth, we reckon, about $150,000. The Cox Plate from 1931, Phar Lap. What a horse he was, Big Red. I think most people say he was the horse in Australia of this century. And he's our subject in Legends of the Century today. An appropriate time to have a look at the career of Big Red on the eve of the Melbourne Cup.
In the 30s, at the height and depth of the Depression, it was one red horse, a hero, that gave Aussies escape from their mundane lives.
I used to ride a bit, Mr. Telford. I had a cranky sort of little horse down there, and I went down to riding for him, and I seen little Phar Lap. He just come back over the sand hills this morning, and he was laying down in the box, and Mr. Telford was a bit late coming, and I got him up and I dressed him and looked after him, and from then on I got attached to him then.
In contrast to the other characters in this equine epic, Tommy Woodcock loved horses. Harry Telford, the trainer, was a hard but fair man, driven by a blend of ambition and poverty. Jim Pike, the jockey.
Oh, Jim had a great opinion of Phar Lap. He reckons he wasn't a horse, he's just a machine, he said. When you press the button or put your foot down, he said, it's just you to take off from under you.
In the saddle, Pike was an out-and-out champion, but offered he loved nothing more than some booze and a bet. David Davis, the owner, was a very successful businessman, but saw nothing but failure the first time he set eyes on Phar Lap.
The horse looked like a camel with sores when he got off the boat, and that Pops' I and all of my associates referred to him, said, you know, take him back and do what you will with him, but not that, surely.
So Harry Telford leased a 1/3 share in the horse for 3 years. in which time he won 37 races from 51 starts and around £70,000 in stakes. And in that time, not once did his jockey pull the whip. Phar Lap only won once as a 2-year-old, but as a 3-year-old, he won everything, including the jewel in the 3-year-old crown, the VRC Derby. 3 days after his Derby triumph at Flemington, he stepped out as favourite for the Melbourne Cup. The jockey was Bobby Lewis.
He didn't go very generous of Bobby Lewis, and of course Bobby stirred him pretty well at the barrier, and of course when he did, he jumped out, and of course he couldn't hold him. He fought him all the way until about the 3 furlong post, and when he let him go to race, he went back in the field, and then he finished on again and ran third in it. But he had a dreadful mouth after, the poor horse. He could hardly eat for 3 or 4 days after his mouth was cut about that much.
The following autumn, records fell like leaves. Phar Lap was unbeatable, and the whole country knew about the horse nicknamed Bobby Boy.
Look at that shoulder. Look at the muscles, the suggestion of power in every line. Strength and elasticity, perfect chest development, and he certainly knows how to use those muscles. I'll say he does.
Trouble, though, was not far away. That trouble started as Phar Lap prepared for an assault on the Melbourne Spring Carnival. Despite never intending to run his champion in the Caulfield Cup, Harry Telford, planning a betting coup, declared Phar Lap a contender. Those in the know plunged on Amonis in the Caulfield Cup and Phar Lap in the Melbourne Cup. Amonis duly won the first leg, and bookmakers faced a massive payout should Phar Lap win the Melbourne Cup. As Derby Day approached, the underworld kicked into action.
I used to walk and lead him everywhere, so I get halfway home and I happened to see this car, and I didn't know whether to try and make it back to the race course or try and make it up the stable. It was only straight along the road, so anyhow I decided to make it to the stable. And I just get the first street and car started, and I just took him round the corner and propped him against the fence, and the car come whizzing along round the corner, and all he seen was a milk cart up the road. All of a sudden a gun come out the back window and fired 2 shots at him. Never right down low at him, never fired anywhere up near his head. But they missed him by a couple of feet anyhow in front of him.
At 2 o'clock the morning after the Melbourne Stakes was won, Tommy whisked the Cup favourite into a float bound for a stud farm in Geelong. 3 days later, and despite a scare when his float wouldn't start, Phar Lap headed back to Flemington.
The police kept the crowd well away from him because, you know, we had terrible threats with him, what they're going to do. They're going to throw acid in his eyes and one thing and another at the Flemington. But we had good police protection, but the crowd, he was a crowd lover, Phar Lap. Everybody loved old Phar Lap. And of course, as soon as they seen him entering the enclosure, they clapped and cheered. It was wonderful to hear them, the people.
15 starters breast the barrier. All the way to a good start.
Phar Lap's presence drew a massive crowd, and they all saw one thing.
You beauty. Phar Lap is striding away, and passing the 2 furlongs post, the race is certainty for the champion. Second Wind is putting up a gallant effort, with Shadow King moving up rapidly. Phar Lap is increasing his lead with little effort and proves himself one of our greatest stayers. Oh, what beautiful action.
Phar Lap backed up on the Thursday for another win, and again on the Saturday.
He saddled him up again the following Saturday, a mile and a half on the following Saturday. And of course all the crowd loved him that much. They all stood up and cheered and clapped him. And of course when I legged old Jim on, Mr. Toffert come out, legged old Jim on him, everybody sang out, "Hungry Harry, Hungry Harry."
Phar Lap's record of a win on each of the 4 days over the Flemington Carnival is a feat that's never been attempted, let alone matched. After the spring, and with Telford's 3-year lease up, David Davis sold him a half share in the horse for $4,000. His colours were changed, but apart from that, everything remained the same. Big race after big race fell to Phar Lap, including a second Cox Plate. Tommy had been doing the training, but counting down to the Melbourne Cup...
Mr Telford took over the training of him after the Cox Plate, and I think, my own opinion, I think he worked him a bit too hard before the race.
Phar Lap had to carry a staggering 10 stone 10, about 69 kilos. In the mounting yard before the race, Jim Pike looked down at Tommy as Tommy looked up.
And he said, son, he said, I won't knock him about. He said, when he's had enough, he said, I won't hurt him.
And the jockey kept true to his word.
On the outside, and at this stage, Phar Lap was well beaten. He dropped right back. White nose led him.
Phar Lap, under that big weight, finished 8th. It was to be his last Melbourne Cup.
And that's only half the story of Bobby Boy. The whole story, including that fateful trip to America where he had one of his greatest triumphs, can be seen on this video, Phar Lap, the People's Champion, available at all retail outlets. Well, I feel pretty privileged alongside this Cox Plate today. I wonder if Greg Hall, the sentimentalist, if he wins on streak on Monday, will put his hand up, on Tuesday I should say, on Monday week and try and get this Cox Plate. A rare item in Australian sporting memorabilia. We're going to take a break. I'm looking forward after the break because Kylie's going to give us her Melbourne Cup tip.
With life experience has come perspective and a tranquil acceptance of her path in life.
There are two major components that create self-esteem, and that is meaningful work and real achievement. Now, for me, maybe winning an Olympic gold medal wasn't a real achievement. It was certainly an achievement, but it might not have been a real one. But by gee, getting my driver's licence was a real achievement.